Hey, what's going on, you guys? I know this is a different, whole setting and stuff. Hopefully the lighting is not too bad. I tried to set up, a light to shine on my face a little bit, so it's not as crappy as it usually is. So this is The Gifted, Season 1, Episode 6, Got Your Six. Okay. Starts with a flashback. Like a lot of the episodes have been kind of following the same kind of formula. Each episode kind of starts with a flashback and then it leads to present day, and then there's like this big scene at the end, this big climax scene at the end with a whole bunch of action and stuff, and that's kind of what we got in this. So it starts with this kind of it's not really a rally, but Thunderbird, and I think it's also Pulse. I didn't really recognize him because the hair was different. I don't know if it was actually him. Correct me if I'm wrong. But they're out there and with a few other people, and they're trying to collect some money, trying to raise some funds for the victims of the 7/15 tragedy. And obviously, people are not completely for that. One guy who's like really militant, and he's like, so he's like, what kind of mess is this? You guys, you're the ones who did this, and now you want to raise money for, something that you did, and it's just like so stupid. But we're going to continue to get stuff like this where people are going to blame, all mutants for a small group of mutants that did something. On some like idiots come by, and they come to where they are setting up, and they try to throw some type of explosive at them. And luckily, John, he uses his power to kind of fling it away, and then he catches the debris that's about to hit the girl, and, he kind of saves everybody. But of course, nobody's really going to look at that as him saving. They're going to look at the fact that a mutant is the reason why these guys acted so militantly. So that's that scene. Going in back into the present, okay, they're talking a little bit more about what's been going on with Sentinel Services and of course Pulse, and there have been some insiders who have been saying that, oh, Pulse may not be the only person, may not be the only mutant that they're using, and so they feel like they can find out more from going to that Justice Center in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So they are going to try and figure out a way to break in. Obviously, their first instinct is to go to Blink. Obviously, you can open portals and get them in and out with the least amount of noise. We get a little scene with Lauren and Andy, okay, and of course there's like a whole bunch of new refugees coming in from other safe houses because of Sentinel Services, obviously. So the numbers have like risen like a whole lot since the last the last couple of episodes, and Andy is saying something like, oh, I'm glad we got here before this rush, and at least we have our own beds. And Lauren is like, look, we're the reasons why. We're the reason why we're even in this mess. But the reason why there's so many refugees is because they're after us because of what we did to the convoy and stuff. So, it's honestly retaliation into what happened with us. So, that little scene, that was a good scene. So Lauren is going out and she's helping, she's like trying to help the refugees, kind of try to get settled in and stuff, trying to do her part. And then this dude walks up to her, and he's obviously interested in her. I mean, falling for the cute blonde. And then, he tries to get her name, and she's like, my name is I've Got Work to Do, or something she said like that. I was like, okay, play hard to get, go get. That part actually kind of made me laugh, because I love it when guys, they come up and they're all confident, and the girl's just like, but anyway. So I guess, he's like the new love interest or something for her, since she did have a boyfriend, but he's obviously not in, he doesn't care anymore. Like, that's long gone, and she's not going to be able to return to her regular life anyway, so there's no point. When he said that his name was Wes, and I made this connection, I was like, wasn't Claire Bennett's, love interest, one of her love interests in Heroes was named Wes, and he was also he was what did they call them? They called them not supers. Yeah, I think they called them. I don't know what they called them. Um, but yeah, like he had powers too, and his name was Wes, and he was trying to get at Claire, and I just kind of made the connection because both Claire and Lauren are like the blonde heroes of the stories, and I don't know why I made the connection. It was kind of weird, but I just kind of my mind just kind of shifted and went to heroes. Wes, he can make illusions, and I think that's really cool. And it's really beneficial to them and in their efforts to he can really come up with probably some really great escape plans, and we see that later in the episode. Kate's talking to this new mutant, Skylar, and she's asking about blood pressure and stuff, and how often he uses his powers, and he's like, 2 or 3 times a day when we're looking for food, and apparently he was living under a highway with some other kids until Sentinel Services found them, and so he's been on the run ever since. And she kind of she feels for these kids because obviously her own kids are going through the same thing, but a lot of other kids have it off worse because they don't have their parents around with them. So she comes up with the idea to try and have these kids live like children should, going to school and everything, and trying to at least provide a little bit of normalcy, she says. But we see that it becomes a little bit of a problem when she sees Polaris, and Polaris is like with this girl, and this girl can actually like control water and stuff, and I thought that was a really cool scene. They did a really good job with the CGI or whatever they were doing. The effects for that scene was pretty cool. The girl who controlled water, Polaris wants to train her and other kids to fight, but Kate is against that because Kate doesn't want the kids fighting, and it's something that we see throughout the entire thing. Like a lot of the adults are kind of hesitant to have the kids fight because they're kids, but in a game of survival, okay, everybody needs to pitch in, otherwise it's all going to hell. And even Lauren and Andy, they I think it was Andy who said, we can help too, and us fighting with you. If you guys fail, guess what? We also fail. So why not have us help you? And when we have these powers to help, the kids actually have some pretty good powers, like some powers that would really like key into helping them survive this whole entire ordeal. So adults really need to get it together and stop being, so foolish. Okay. So John is asking Clarice to help them, obviously, so that they can create a portal to get through. But he doesn't mention anything about the whole memory thing with Dreamer and stuff. And so she brings it up, and she's like, we need to talk about this because your little girlfriend over there, she, put these memories into my mind without asking, and it was wrong and everything. And then they argue, and then she ends up leaving. We don't know where she goes. At the end of the episode, we see her, she's like descending some stairs and stuff, but I really didn't catch a glimpse of where she actually was. But I feel like she probably teleported to that place. Wherever that road is, she might be in that area. Remember that road from the couple of episodes ago when her powers were going crazy and she kept on opening portals to that road? I feel like she's probably going to wherever that road is. Wherever that road is, she's probably in that area right now. They have to find an alternate way now because Blink is gone. And John comes in and he says, like, Blink is gone. And Dreamer, she's like sitting up there and she's like kind of, I don't know. It's like she doesn't care either way, and she's kind of relieved that Blink is gone, so that she doesn't have to deal with the fact that she did do something wrong. And that kind of makes me dislike her character a little bit. Like, I was on the fence about Dreamer at first because we didn't know too much about her, but it seems like she's kind of selfish in a way, because she just wants John and only John, and honestly, I don't know. I guess we'll find out a little bit more about her and about, like, kind of where her loyalties really lie. Like, not to say that she's not loyal to the Mutant Underground, but it seems as though she's letting her love for John cloud her better judgment, and it's gonna cause some issues in the future. I can see it. So Andy actually volunteers to go and help them get in. So they're getting their stuff prepared and the truck and stuff, and Kate comes out and she's like, I'm really against this. Obviously, she's against it. She doesn't want her child going out there and possibly getting hurt or worse. And also with Reed, because he keeps on going out on these little missions and stuff with the rest of the underground, and she's just worried that her family is going to be torn apart again. So, they have this little moment, and then she notices that his wedding ring is gone. Later on, that'll be an important scene as well. But they connect, and then they leave in this truck, in this like big like tractor trailer. Sentinel Services, Jace, he shows up to work even though he's supposed to be on leave. They know exactly what happened, and Jason's like, oh, well, you know what? I'm just dealing with my daughter dying twice. I mean, I knew that would happen. I thought it would be a little bit more of a struggle, though. I mean, I guess maybe they'll show it a little bit more, but it seems like he just kind of snapped back fairly quickly. I wanted to see a little bit more of him at home dealing with the issue, but he went straight back to work. I don't know. Maybe they'll show some scenes with when him at home later on, but I feel like they needed to focus a little bit more on him at home. When he gets in his office, he picks up the phone, and who does he call? I called this last episode. I called it a couple of episodes ago, actually, that he was going to eventually turn to Dr. Campbell for help when all else failed. Okay, he has no cards on the table. I mean, he doesn't have a table. Okay, he has nothing. Okay, no tables, no chairs, no furniture. It's just an empty ass house. Okay. And he needs help. So he turns to Dr. Campbell and calls him in to possibly help them. Okay. And so later on, like, Dr. Campbell, he shows up and he asks for their secret files and stuff so he can, like, help them. But I'm like, okay, well, and his main concern is the Strucker children. Like, even when he came in, and I feel like it's kind of weird for him, like, he automatically came in and asked about the Strucker children. Not even, like, getting all the mutants. He's just worried about the Struckers. So I feel like he also has his own ulterior motives, and we know that, but I'm really interested to see exactly what they are and how it may or may not, help or harm the Sentinel Service's efforts to get all the mutants, to capture all the mutants. There's something about him that really just does not sit right with me. Like, Jace obviously is an antagonist right now, but I feel like there's going to be something that happens that's maybe going to turn him around a little bit. But Dr. Campbell just seems like he's a little wacko. They're in the truck. Okay, Andy's like beatboxing or something, I guess. Apparently that's something that he used to do, but, Reed said he's never seen him do it in a long time and stuff. So they're finally getting a chance to kind of talk to each other, but, Andy is kind of wary about that because, all the time that he probably wanted to talk to Reed was always so busy with work. He's like, when did I really have the chance to talk to you? When you came home at midnight? I mean, and you were gone the next morning? I mean, there was really no real open window for him to talk to his father about anything that he was struggling with, all the bullying and stuff. And, he even brings up the fact that, Reed says, oh, I went to speak to your guidance counselor about the bullying and stuff. And Andy's like, well, that's the reason why they tracked me down that night at the school. It was because, obviously, the guidance counselor probably got in touch with the parents, and the parents probably, like, punished the kids in some kind of way, and then the kids, in turn, retaliated by finding Andy and bullying him some more. I mean, that's usually what happens. That's why a lot of kids who are bullied and people who come into contact with bullies and people who want to harm them, rape cases and sexual assault and stuff. I mean, we see it happen all the time, and it's happening right now with a lot of, with the whole Harvey Weinstein case and stuff. A lot of these women did not want to come out because of the fact that, if they did, either nobody would have believed them or something bad may have happened to them in retaliation to that. So we see it happen with Andy in this sense. So there's a lot that they have to hash out. So while they're on this road, the truck, they see a cop, and the cop pulls them over. They're like in the back, and the driver, he's getting interrogated by the cop. The cop is like asking for his registration and stuff and license, and apparently he's on Sentinel Services list. They have a list of mutants. Apparently he's on that list. And so he's like, I need to check the back or whatever. And so they go, they obviously can hear everything that's going on. Marcos is like, turning off all the lights and stuff, and he's like, you know, I absorb light before I actually, you know, release it as energy. He tries to absorb all the light in the trailer so that when the cop opens the doors, you know, he won't see them, or they'll be hidden in the darkness. So the cop comes to the back, he opens the door, and he notices like his flashlight is kind of like acting weird and it's not really shining because Marcos is absorbing all the light in that area. I thought that they were actually going to get caught, but I mean, I guess. So we get a really good developing scene here with Dreamer and John. John is like trying to like fortify. We get a good scene here that I've been kind of like wondering about as well. Because think about like the comics and think about the X-Men as a whole. Thunderbird was actually part of the X-Men. Granted, his character in the comics actually died, but but he was a part of the X-Men at one point, and I was always wondering like the Thunderbird in this story was he also a part of the X-Men? I don't know. Apparently he probably was, because the X-Men actually he was involved with the X-Men, because the X-Men, they actually put him in charge of the Mutant Underground. I called that too, because I kind of like wonder, I was like, you know, they keep talking about the X-Men and the Brotherhood, but how much influence did the Brotherhood or the X-Men have in creating the Mutant Underground? And I had a feeling that the X-Men were probably behind it. So now Andy is talking about using his powers, okay, and they've stopped now for the night. To rest or for a while or whatever. He does say something that's a little bit alarming to both Reed and me. He said that it feels good to rip things apart, and and I said this in a previous recap, that I feel like Andy may go down a dark path if faced with some kind of danger. I don't know exactly, you know. It may happen. I don't know. Polaris and Kate are on opposite sides, okay? One wants to teach academics, the other one wants to teach them how to survive and fight. Okay, so Kate, she finds like these science textbooks, or these textbooks inside of the storage that they have. And, you know, one of the guys was saying like, you know, oh, most of the time Sentinel Services captures the families when they are on their way to school or coming home from school, and so that's the reason why they have so many of the school supplies there. Polaris is like trying to train them and stuff, how to use their powers, like she's using like tools to shoot at them in order for them to use their powers to block it or whatever, and Wes makes an allusion to make her think that there's no box of tools there, and it's just like some flowers or something, and you know, she's like trying to get them to take it seriously, and then finally it's Lauren's turn. And here comes Kate, like, you know, I didn't say it was okay for you to start throwing like saws at my daughter and stuff, and I'm just like, oh, Kate, come on now. I'm just like, really? And obviously Lauren wants to, you know, be trained as well. Like, she wants to get better at using her powers, because she's already pretty good, only because she's been kind of doing her own little stuff on the side and using her powers on the side. But she really wants to be able to fight with them and be able to help a lot more. But Kate, again, is completely against children fighting, and I'm just like, I'm so over her, and I'm so over Reed. I'm so over a lot of these adults. So the thing is, both Kate and Polaris make good points. Yes, you know, the kids, they do need some type of normalcy, okay? It would be cool if they could, you know, kind of create it like the Xavier Institute in a way. Kind of like they do their little classes, math, science, English and everything, but then they also go and they train their powers. You know, that's kind of how it was. The Xavier Institute was a school, first and foremost, so they would get an actual education there. There would be actually like Storm and stuff, they would actually teach them, you know, real life subjects at the school, but then, you know, later on, they would also work on their powers and stuff in the danger room and stuff. So I feel like both of them, if they kind of combine their efforts, it would be so good. It would be really, really good. Lauren is hanging with Wes, and, you know, Wes is trying to get her to hang with him and stuff, and I was like, okay, alright, so we're gonna get a scene with them. Lauren was talking about how kind of, like, she's known about her powers for a very long time, and, you know, and he's like, oh, so what did you do? And she's like, I hid my, you know, I just hid them, and He's like, haven't you ever just wanted a normal life? And he's like, our lives are not normal. He's like, we have powers and stuff, and it's never going to be normal. And it kind of made me kind of go and think about, people who are LGBT in another way. Again, there are people out there who are hiding who they are, and so that they can live a quote unquote normal life, meanwhile hiding who they are, and kind of being tortured internally because of it. So it falls into the same aspect with the mutants, and how, they have to kind of develop a sense of self in order to accept themselves, and in order to be able to live their lives the way that they want to. But of course, because of the way that society views them, they really can't. And the minute that people find out that they're mutants, it's automatically, they're automatically kind of like the enemy. And it's really sad, and it happens in real life all the time. And Lauren's talking about all the things that she's wanted to do, and she mentions going to Florence, and so Wes creates this illusion of Florence, but it's actually really Rome, and she says it's, this is actually Rome. But the gesture was nice, and I thought it was a really cute scene. That was really cute. Anyway. He's really trying. He's really trying. She comments on the water moving, and I thought that was really cool. It actually looked like a real city, and then and like Lauren is sitting there, and she's like, "Oh, the water is moving." He's like, "I've never done that before," and he makes this little comment, "Oh, you make me better." I said, "Really?" Like I was just like, "What?" Okay, I guess. Okay, so this plan is going down at the Justice Center. They're finally there, and when they get there, they find that it's a lot more guarded than they thought it was going to be. So they instead go to the parking garage. And the parking garage is actually connected to the Justice Center, so they can still get in. Alright, so they're at the Justice Center, in the parking garage. Andy is able to break the wall. Okay, Reed, you can see on Reed's face that he's a little bit weary about Andy using his powers, especially after what he said about like loving the feeling of ripping things apart. So that's going to be an issue later on, I think, and I feel like, Reed is probably going to, kind of want to shelter Andy and not allow him to use his powers a lot, and it's going to cause a big rift in the relationship once again. That's just one of my predictions. They're making their way to the office with all the files and stuff, and Marco's opening the door, and he actually sets off the fire alarm. I'm just like, really? I'm like, you guys are the worst at infiltration. You need some help, okay? Granted, Blink is not there, but I mean, there could have been a lot of other ways to do what you're doing, but it is what it is. I mean, they were able to get the files, and it's fine, okay? But because of all the noise that they caused there, another HQ gets hit, and then they're ended up at the Mutant Underground, where everybody else is. While they're in the office, though, one thing I do want to draw attention to is the fact that Reed saw a picture on the wall of him and a couple of other people, and I guess that's going to have some type of significance in the future and future episodes. So hopefully we'll see like whose office that was, and what his connection to that specific place is. Okay, this is a scene that really doesn't make me like. I really don't like Dreamer after the scene, because she goes and she kisses him, John, and they're talking, and I honestly don't even want to talk about that scene. Moving on. They got out of the Justice Center, but now there's been a cop that's been following them for a while, and they find out that there is a roadblock set up for the truck, because they realize, because the driver actually told the cop before that he was going to Denver, and then they see the truck in Baton Rouge, and that obviously draws like a red flag, so now they're gonna go after them. So Polaris takes Lauren and Wes. Well, actually, Lauren volunteers Wes because Lauren knows about his powers of illusion, and she's like, that can actually help with, getting away from the cops and making them see something that's not actually there so that they can get away, kind of creating diversion. That's perfect. Lauren is turning out to be one of the best characters in this daggone story. I'm just saying, they clearly made her the cheerleader of this story. Here we get this final, like this big climax scene. Okay, Polaris, she kind of becomes like big sister at this moment, and is trying to encourage them to use their powers and not actually fear their powers, but to embrace them and use them to the best of their ability. Don't think about all the other stuff on the outside. Just think about what we're trying to do right now, and that's save and that save everybody in that truck, okay? While this is going on, they're like telling them to slow down and stop before they start shooting. They're gonna open fire and stuff, and here we go with Andy freaking out once again. I just get so upset with him. Like his power is like completely based on his emotions, and if he's sitting there freaking out, you're gonna have issues. And that's what happened in the last time that they tried to do something like this. Like Andy was freaking out and he wasn't able to use his powers, and he doubted himself and stuff. And this time he wants to use his powers, and he's like causing the truck to kind of shake and stuff. And I'm just like, shut up and sit down and calm down. Thankfully, Reed is able to. He's able to calm him down, but I'm just like, come on now, like this is so irritating. Like every single time that there's like this kind of a scene, Andy's gonna freak out and his powers are gonna go haywire. Like, what is this? I really thought for a second that he was gonna ruin everything once again. Sentinel Services begins shooting, all right, and Polaris, she holds back the bullets while Lauren makes a ramp out of her little shields or whatever, and it sends the truck into the air. That was awesome. That was really cool. She was able to do it. And then finally, when the truck lands and it goes through the stop sign, okay, it goes through the intersection, Wes is able to make an illusion to make it appear as though there are two trucks going in two different directions, which sends him, which sends the cops in both directions. They split up and follow each of the trucks. And Lauren is like, oh, what if they follow the right truck? And he's like, what truck? And it shows that the truck is still going forward. It didn't turn at all. It's still going forward, but he made it appear as though the truck split into two and had the illusion follow the truck down the street. That was awesome. I really like that scene. And I think I'm going to end it right there because the scenes that follow, I mean, Jace is pissed once again. I mean, what it is. And he's like looking now to break laws in order to get what he wants. Kate and Reed have this little scene, and they, she finds this ring in the little storage, whatever, and gives him the ring to replace the one that he lost, all right? Because, he lost it in the prison. They took it away from him. And very, very last scene, okay, we get Marcos and Polaris, they're sleeping, but then Marcos gets a call, and who is it? It's Carmen. Okay, Carmen, she calls him and she's like, well, look, now you have to hold up your end of our deal, okay? I said that I would help you if you would help me whenever I called you. I'm calling you now, and if you don't do as I ask, then I guess the next call that I make will be to Sentinel Services. I said, okay, well, here we go. I mean, I saw it coming, and I didn't think it was going to be so soon, but in the very next episode, here we go. Carmen is calling for his help. I wonder what she's going to have him do. Probably something really, really, really messed up to somebody else. I don't know. But anyway, that was The Gifted. That was The Gifted episode 6, alright? I'm having a really good time actually recapping this. It's really fun for me. I don't know why. I actually like this setting too. I might start recording here a lot more. This is this is actually my mom's room. But anyway, that's gonna be it for this. Let me know what you guys thought about the episode in the comments below. Leave me a like and subscribe to the channel for some more recaps. I'm gonna be getting into some other shows in the future. Like I said, Black Lightning, when that comes out, that's definitely going to be on the top of my list. But anyway, I hope everybody has a great day. Take care, guys.